One of the really tough things about diets is having to give up the foods that you most love. Because it's so hard, it's only a matter of time before you're going to be really tempted by crusty bread if you've gone keto, or ice cream if you're low fat. It's the feeling of deprivation that kills most diets, and that's based on removing the favourite things from what you're allowed to eat. In this video, I'm going to approach the question of what not to eat from a completely different angle. You may well be surprised by what I'm going to suggest, and I think you're going to really love it. I'm going to pitch you the idea that the foods that you should cut out are the foods that are actually the most disappointing. I'll describe how we fail to learn that disappointing foods actually do nothing for us. I'll outline the examples of the types of disappointing foods that you might be eating fairly regularly. I'll explain why this matters for weight loss that's easy to stick to. And I'll give you practical tips about how to prune your eating habits so that you ditch the ones that are the most disappointing. Okay, so first of all, why do we keep eating foods that's really disappointing? Well, it's easy to miss the dullness of an eating experience. Something that registers so little pleasure, but it's not actually really unpleasant. You can probably remember meals that were, frankly, downright bad. The undercooked fish in a restaurant, or the tasteless sandwich in a cafe. The awfulness of eating those foods means that you're having a peak negative experience. And if you've read Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, you'll know that peak experiences, whether they're good or bad, are the ones that we remember. But there's something about everyday disappointing eating that doesn't register in the same way. The meh experience here, or the underwhelmed feeling there. Maybe a snack that promised so much and delivered so little. Cheese footballs do that for me every year around Christmas. Something that was quite exciting in childhood is now repeatedly quite a tasteless experience for me, but it's taken quite a long time for me to face facts with those KP snacks and actually stop buying them around that time of year. The sorts of things that you might be eating fairly regularly, but are actually in reality quite disappointing, might include second helpings when you're actually already full. Taste-specific satiety means that as we keep eating, our taste sensitivity reduces, and without even realising it, we can be keeping eating when it's not really that enjoyable. Or maybe the last few bites on your plate when you've already had enough but you want to avoid throwing food away. Maybe nibbling on ingredients whilst you're cooking. Or perhaps the boring biscuit that you ate just because it was there. And you may have your own really quite idiosyncratic examples of this, like maybe eating up your kids' leftover cold pizza crusts when they've left the table. So why is disappointing eating so relevant to achieving weight loss that we can easily stick to? Well, first, ditching the foods that give you zero or near zero pleasure is relatively really easy. These foods are like the low-hanging fruit of eating habit change. When you give up something that actually gave you virtually nothing in the first place, the pain of giving it up is going to be minimal. That's obviously in marked contrast to trying to cut out your top treats. Some of us eat an awful lot of disappointing food, and in eating so much, it's less likely that we're going to be getting hungry by our next meal. Our taste sensitivity is heightened when we're hungry, so by eating all this additional disappointing food, we're more likely to miss out on some of the pleasure of what we actually intend to eat and would enjoy eating. And by ditching the foods that give you no pleasure, you're going to be increasing the overall amount of joy that you get from eating whilst consuming less food. So let's look at how you can do this in practice. Appetite retraining, which is the approach I developed to help people change how they eat, can be used on your eating habits, a bit like world famous Marie Kondo does when she approaches tidying. With her world famous methods, Marie Kondo helps us tidy our homes and our workspaces, sensitively starting with the easiest clutter. She guides us through discarding what we no longer need, working out what still serves you and what doesn't, then keeping what sparks joy, as she puts it, and binning the rest. You can use this sort of principle to tidy up your own eating habits so that you're cutting out the extra eating that you're doing on a regular basis, which isn't giving you any joy and which may be preventing you losing weight. If you're not sure where to start, you can begin by keeping a diary for a couple of days where you just make a note of all of the occasions where you ate something and it was actually quite disappointing. Part of the task here is to notice what you don't enjoy. Then take a cool look at which eating actually does give you pleasure, so that, rather Marie Kondo-like, you keep what sparks joy in your eating. So that'll be your favourite foods eaten when you're hungry that you really savour. Then you tackle one particular type of non-enjoyable eating at a time. So you work through the habits one at a time. Being specific like this helps you keep your focus, and you'll be able to see how little joy you're sacrificing. My other YouTube videos will help you do this. In them, I describe how behavioural science and the rest of psychology can help you to identify which eating habits are no longer serving you. Then you can take a systematic approach to tidying up those eating habits and ditch the foods that you no longer enjoy. I just want to mention that this exercise won't be relevant to everybody. If it's not useful for you, it's not your fault. And it may be that your eating habits are not the thing that are standing in the way of you improving your health and well-being. For more professional help with changing how you eat, whether that's for weight loss or to achieve a happier relationship with food, hit the link in the description below and you can apply for a free eating pattern analysis call with me. Please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel for lots more on the psychology of eating, appetite and weight loss. My next video, Breaking the Yo-Yo Dieting Cycle, shows you how to take a systematic approach to tidying up your eating habits and losing weight for good.